Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this month's Research Matters. I'm Erica Salzik, the Department Administrator for UT Southwestern's Human Research Protection Program, and I'll be one of the moderators for today's session. And as usual, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items really quick. So first, if you have any questions for our presenters, please type them in the Q&A. One of the moderators will respond to you during the session, or we will address it at the end of the presentations. This session is being recorded. You can watch it again right after it's finished by clicking on the Microsoft Teams Live link in the email invitation. And we'll also send you the slides via email. You can find the links to future meetings, slides, handouts, and past recordings on HRPP's Research Matters website under the Training and Resources page. We do provide a certificate of attendance for those who have logged in using a valid email address. If you do not receive one via email but should have, please send an email to hrpp@utsouthwestern.edu to request the certificate. And then lastly, we want to hear from you. We use this information to plan for future topics you would like us to cover during these sessions. You may also let us know how our speakers did and how our office is doing. And as you know, we are at year end, so we are currently planning for fiscal year 25's agenda topics. So if you can please take a few minutes to complete the survey and provide feedback, we would appreciate that. You may access the survey using your phone via the QR code on the computer or your computer by selecting the link, which I'll be dropping in the Q&A in just a moment. Okay, so here's our agenda for today. Today we have a couple of updates. We have one from the Quality Assurance and Monitoring team and a couple from the IRB office. So then we will be turning it over to Mayad Bird, our IRB director, who will present on the Protocol Builder, which is a useful tool designed to simplify and enhance the development of comprehensive human subject research protocols. And we will conclude with our open Q&A session. I'm going to turn it over to Manali.
Thank you, Erica. Hello, everyone. I am Manali Thakur from the Regulatory Support and Monitoring Department, and I'd like to introduce our newest team member, Viam Ali. She has joined our department in May 2024 as a regulatory monitoring analyst. Some of you may have already met her in one of our not-for-cause or sponsor investigator monitoring visits conducted by our department. Liam comes to our department with 6 years of clinical trials monitoring experience at a CRO, where she handled multiple monitoring tasks for research studies. In addition, she brings in a lot of experience and holds a master's degree in clinical research management from Ohio State University. We're thrilled to have VM join us, and please join me in welcoming her on board. Thank you. I'll pass this over to Mayad.
Thank you, Manali. Let me get my slides shared. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to bring to you a couple of IRB updates before getting into today's feature presentation about Protocol Builder. So first up, there are some changes with regard to CNPA. And for those who are not familiar, CNPA is the Communications, Market and Public Affairs Office. Their office is tasked with reviewing branding materials that are being used for UT Southwestern, so recruitment material, news releases, so on and so forth. So some of you may be familiar with the requirement for CNPA approval of recruitment materials, but there's been a slight change. CNPA approval is only required for some recruitment material. The recruitment material that's required to have CNPA approval includes items that actually need to have the UT Southwestern logo. So it's not required that you have the UT Southwestern logo. However, if you do want to list and provide UT Southwestern logo on recruitment material, that will need to have CNPA approval. Next, if there are plans to use official UT Southwestern social media platforms for recruitment, so that would include like the Facebook page, Twitter. So if you plan to use those platforms for recruitment, you will need CMPA approval. Anytime that you're deploying an exception from informed consent research study, those recruitment materials are going to need approval from CMPA. Press releases or news releases, those are going to need CMPA approval before they're actually released. And finally, key clinical trial recruitment materials. So those are going to be high profile clinical trials that are going to be done here at UT Southwestern. Those are going to be items that have to have CMPA approval. Additionally, we're going to require that you obtain CMPA approval before you submit to the IRB. And that's because they're looking at language and just making sure that whenever we're referring to UT Southwestern, we're referring to UT Southwestern in the appropriate light and wording. So next, we have an update regarding DUAs, DTA, material transfer agreements, what do they call it? MTAs. We have a change in this process. Anytime that you are sharing or transferring de-identified materials, that's going to be something that does need a data use agreement or a data transfer agreement. So remember, before we didn't have this this process in place, but we do have this process in place now. The change is being made to restrict the liabilities that are associated with the other entities' use of UT Southwestern data. So again, this is to make sure that they're not using the data outside of what it has been approved. And this is just kind of a chart to help you kind of identify, you know, when you're sharing data materials, that you're sharing the de-identified data and materials, either when you obtain an authorization from a research participant or where you have a data use agreement in place. You can also refer to some type of the contract, for example, the clinical trial agreement that defines the terms of data sharing and protections in place. Anytime that you're sharing a limited data set, you are going to also need to either have permission of the participant through HIPAA authorization, or again, you're going to need a data use agreement. Obviously, if you've got a clinical trial agreement, that also is enough to cover the sharing of that particular data. And then finally, protected health information. It's obviously not appropriate to share that type of information under a data use agreement. And that's information that should be covered by the HIPAA authorization. So moving on to Protocol Builder. So Protocol Builder is a program or a platform that was built by Branny. So what this Protocol Builder, it's basically software or AI software that helps make the writing process and collaborating and reviewing protocols much more efficient. It's a cloud-based application that's available 24/7, and it helps structure the writing of your protocol to make it easier and faster. It will produce a professionally formatted protocol ready for IRB submission. So the format that kind of gets put in, that's in the output, is either going to be in a Word document or a PDF. And then the other thing I'll mention is that our institution does plan to use single sign-on so that you don't have to have another user account and another password that you have to remember. You'd be able to log into the platform itself using your UT Southwestern credentials. So just going to kind of showcase what this particular application is. When you log in, you'll get access to the home page, and this is kind of what your home page is going to look like. Obviously, if you forget your password, you can use the forgot password to recover your account. From here, you see a few items on your dashboard or your overview. From here, you can actually have the home button, and anywhere you are in your document typing, you can always click home to go back home, and it'll take you to this particular page. You have the start a new document. I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. You have this area where you can reference documents that you were previously working on, and this is kind of like the quick list. You've got at the bottom here, you've got some feature tutorials. So starting a new user training, you've got starting a protocol, and then selecting personnel. Up here on the top, we've got documents. These are going to be like the bank of all the documents that you've worked on or that you've created or that you've collaborated on. You're going to have a list of contacts. The next is going to be your resources. And then finally, we've got the profile and reference library, and then obviously the help center. You have an additional help center. This kind of is the help desk. So this is a number that you can call if you're having trouble with the actual application. So next, we're going to talk about starting a new document. So in order to start a new document, you're going to click the Start Document icon. And from here, it'll take you to the page where you start to label and set your document up. So you're going to have to give your document a file name. Obviously, you want to probably name this something similar to the protocol title, so that way you're able to find quickly your protocols, especially if you plan to use this to draft many protocols. You're going to want to add the principal investigator's name, and you can actually just start typing the first 3 to 4 letters of the PI's name and wait for the search box to populate the options to select from, and you're going to want to select your PI's name from there. So as I mentioned before, we're using single sign-on, so there's that the platform itself is going to have preloaded information on who the users are and who can be selected as a PI. I should have some automation here. Whoops, yeah, let me have some automation. Next, you've got the document type. So you're going to want to select the document type from a list, a drop-down list. And so the system itself is actually coming to us with these standard protocol templates that have been drafted and developed. So these come with the product. If you don't have an idea of what type of product that you want to use, you can actually use the document template assistance, where it'll kind of take you through some questions, helping you figure out which type of template protocol template that you need to be using. So next up, and this is probably one of the most important things that you want to do when you're setting up your protocol, is you want to add study details and personnel. This is the cover page where you enter the study title and all the protocol identifiers, where you're going to add also the individuals you're going to be collaborating to work on with writing on this particular protocol. In this section, you can actually add personnel based on what type of access that they need. Say, for example, you need somebody that's going to be able to write or edit sections of the protocol. You can list the personnel with that particular role. You may also list personnel who have just read-only access. And then finally, you can list personnel who don't actually need to access the protocol for writing, but then may need to be named in the protocol for just submission requirements. Now, writing the protocol. So once you establish personnel and you go through and give your protocol a title, you're going to be able to get access to the synopsis. As a best practice, it's best to write the synopsis of the protocol first, because the way that protocol was built, it's built to be a guided experience, so that you use the next button options kind of here at the end of the bottom of the page. However, if that doesn't work best for you, or if you get really familiar with how to use Protocol Builder, you can actually navigate to any one of the sections within the protocol and modify as you go. On the writing and editing screen, you'll be able to click on the eye icon, which has guidance for writing the section. It has some links that connect to the synopsis itself, to the protocol, and this kind of helps you save time. Many of the sections have text to provide structure or more precise language that may be required. In order for you to start editing, you'll want to hit the edit button at the top here, and then you'll be able to edit the information. For example, like this, you'll see it there. When you need to save sections, they can be saved as draft or as complete. And this is a nice feature about this particular product, is that whenever you have collaborators set up on the study, you can actually set up notifications or alerts. So based on the individual's role on a study, you can actually send alerts to the individuals who are like writers or read-only and indicate that a section is like ready to be reviewed. Whenever you have a section that's in draft, they'll look like this lighter color gray. when they are actually completed, they'll actually show up as green. I'll talk a little bit about the needs review on another tab here. The progress dashboard. So a nice feature about Protocol Builder is that for each one of the sections of the protocol, you actually have a dashboard that talks about whether it's complete or not been complete. So that way you kind of have at a glance sections of the protocol that you kind of need to spend more time on. And again, if you set up the notifications as they become available or drafted or completed, those notifications can send notices to indicate that this particular section is ready to be reviewed. As I mentioned before, you can collaborate. And so based on your cover page where you input the study personnel, those individuals, as I mentioned before, will have access to review or edit the submission. Again, it's important to set that up. And if you haven't already set it up, there's an opportunity to go back to the cover page and navigate to the cover page and actually select your personnel. So now talking a little bit about the needs review list. So as you're working through the development of your protocol and you indicate that areas are drafted, you can create these notifications or areas that are kind of highlighted in gray and are not green and not complete. They're going to go to the needs review icon. So when you click on needs review, it's going to show you all of the sections that actually need to have some type of review. The commenting tool is going to be the next thing. This allows you to do what you can kind of do already in Microsoft Word, where you can actually comment on a section. You would actually click on the comment, make the comment, and it'll insert like a numbered pin after the text is highlighted. So that way a person can go there and say, I can go specifically to this section to work on the comment or the item here. Comments can be replied to, they can be deleted or resolved. Finishing and publishing. So as you get through your protocol and writing all the sections, you know, you've expanded all the plus signs in here and you've written all of the sections that are appropriate to your protocol, and everything turns green, you know, meaning that means it's been marked as complete, not as draft. You will be able to publish your protocol. And whenever you work with the output options, you can select Word or PDF. And I'll talk a little bit more about appendices later, but it'll create a full protocol with all of the appendices. Some additional and advanced editing and automated features that are available in Protocol Builder include formatting reference sections with auto numbering. You can insert footnotes. You can auto list tables and charts. Anytime you have appendices, it'll create a log of appendices and attach the appendices. You can create a list of abbreviations and glossary terms. And then finally, after you publish your protocol, the most wonderful thing about this application is that when you go to modify your protocol again, it will track all of your changes and also populate a section where you can actually type in the summary of changes. For example, it will identify, actually, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, I'll talk about that now. Okay, so before I talk a little bit about the advanced features, I also wanted to talk about the references library. Protocol Builder can maintain a library of citations that have been imported from a variety of locations, including PubMed, EndNote, and Medley. You'll just have to make sure that the file is on a .nbib or .ras format. When you want to add your your citations or publications there, you are going to navigate to the profile at the top of the bar, kind of back on your home page, and then you're going to upload the file to create your reference library. So when you want to actually list one of your references in any part of your protocol, you can actually go to the plus sign under reference and actually click on that, and it'll drop your reference anywhere that you need it to be. It'll insert the letter R, and then they're going to be numbered throughout the output. The reference section also will automatically be built. Additionally, you can add additional citations manually if you need to. The next would be the footnotes. So in the protocol, you're also allowed to insert footnotes. You'll just want to place your cursor where you want to insert the footnote. And then obviously when the pop-up shows up, you're going to type the footnote in the pop-up. And then the footnote itself is going to be listed with letters instead of using numbers. So this is kind of the example. You see the footnote here, button or icon, I should say. And then it drops the footnote at the end of that particular section. List of tables and charts. The app allows you to list tables and charts. Again, you're just going to want to place your cursor at the start of where you want the chart or table to appear, and then the list of tables and charts will automatically be created. The appendix section. So if you have a document that you need to upload to your protocol as an appendix, you can actually upload it to the section where the information is applicable. And again, Protocol Builder will automatically, it'll reference the information where you need it to go, and then it'll create a list of appendices at the end of your protocol automatically. And I think this feature about abbreviations and glossary is so awesome. So within Protocol Builder, you can also develop abbreviations and glossary terms. So you actually would click on abbreviation or glossary term, and then whenever you have a term that's defined or you have an abbreviation, it'll highlight it a different color, maybe blue, and then it will automatically create a list of glossary or abbreviations. And then I couldn't get a really good screenshot of the summary of changes, but essentially once you've approved, once a protocol has been published, you will have the ability to create new versions that have been tracked or have tracked changes. And then you'll have the ability to create a summary of changes table where it will automatically identify the sections that were being updated, and it will identify what the change is. And then it'll be up to the individual to discuss the rationale or include the rationale why that change is being made. And this summary of changes will actually, when you go to publish, it will also become part of the protocol. So that's a really neat feature. The next thing I have is I wanted to talk just about the protocol templates that we have available. Let me get all of these on the screen. So out of the box, the protocol comes with a lot of templates, and I think that a lot of them can be used as is. So they have behavioral intervention research, they've got biospecimen collection, they've got interventional combination like drug devices. Then they break things out into investigation of new drugs, non-significant risk device. They have a really nice listing of protocol templates available. From us and from our local site, we're also going to be uploading the UT Southwestern Simmons Cancer Center protocol, comprehensive cancer center template, as well as the population science protocol template. So that way those are also available to be used in the system, and you can use the platform for developing those protocols going forward. And finally, just when are we going to launch Protocol Builder? At this time, we are finalizing the subscription. So we are hoping that our launch time period is sometime in the month of September, obviously before the end of September. So with that being said, that is the showcase of Protocol Builder. We are really excited about it. I think you might really enjoy using it. It's user-friendly. I'm excited about it. Do any of you have questions?
Thank you, Maya. Let's give the attendees some time to type up some of their questions. So I invite you all to submit those questions or comments that you may have at this time. I'm going to pause for a few seconds to allow you to type them up.
It looks like there's 2 questions right now. It says, can you please share the link for Protocol Builder? We can absolutely share the link to the Protocol Builder's website, but our local platform is going to be developed. And once that's been developed, we'll share that information with the research community, either through the next Research Matters session or obviously through some communication. Again, the software is only going to be accessible once we have finished our subscription and they've developed our landing page for our researchers to access the system. then that's when the software is going to be available for access. Okay, there's another question. Once launched, where will we be able
Similar.
to access the software?
Yeah, similar question.
Okay, so the software, we're actually going to put a link to the software itself on the IRB or the HRPP website. That's going to be kind of the landing page for it. The next question is whether there's going to be a fee associated with the use of Protocol Developer. We are going to actually try use of Protocol Developer out for a year to see if this is something that's going to work for us, to see if, users like the experience, to see how much we're actually using the Protocol Builder. But there's not going to be a fee for individual researchers to be able to use the software.
Okay.
The next one is, will there be a formal Protocol Builder training in Taleo Learn? At this time, we don't have plans to put the training actually in Taleo. However, there will be training videos available on once you access Protocol Builder and you log in, you'll have access to all of the training videos where you're like a new user, how to start a document, so on and so forth. Let's see. Okay, how do you get protocol from Protocol Builder to submit to PRMC or IRB? So as I mentioned before, whenever you complete your protocol and you've got all of your information in there, when you hit publish, it's going to actually be able to provide you a link to the actual document in either PDF or in Word. So you'll be able to download that document and save it wherever you need to, or you can actually just keep the versions maintained within Protocol Builder. So when you download it, it creates a file that you can upload to PRMC and then also to the EIRB systems. Okay, let's see, we've got, oh, I think Eric responded to that one. And I think there's another question about subscription fee. There's not going to be a user fee. So again, if you're a researcher, coordinator, someone that's wanting to use the Protocol Builder system to build your protocols, there's not going to be a cost associated with that for your use. Will using the software be mandatory or optional? Well, I think for right now, we want it to be optional. We want folks to get out there and start using Protocol Builder. I think we're going to strongly suggest that it should be there because some of the protocol templates have the components of the protocols that are commonly missed in the different types of protocols we receive. So we may strongly suggest that you use it. However, it's not going to be required that you use it again, but I think it would be very beneficial to use Protocol Builder again because sometimes, like, for example, with chart review studies, we don't need a lot of the details that are in an investigational new application type study and vice versa. So, you might be missing details in the other larger studies versus the smaller ones. So it's just going to be optional at this time. Okay, let's see, where are we? It says, thank you for coming up with this wonderful idea. Will the IRB analysts study teams to use the software if the protocol template we are using is not sufficient? No, we're not going to stipulate it. We're not, like I say, right now, we're trying to, we want users to get out there and use Protocol Builder. We want to learn about, and maybe what we can do at a certain time point is, send out a survey to see if Protocol Builder has been helpful or hurtful, what you've enjoyed about having Protocol Builder. And then we can kind of look at some metrics to look at how, like, who's using the software, how many people, is it a variety of new people? So we'll do some assessments about those things kind of at a later time. But right now we want to just try it out. And I will not take personal responsibility for the idea. This was actually an idea that came from the CTSA group, Dr. Eric Peterson, Dr. Karp. They were mentioning the use of Protocol Builder at other institutions, and that it was something that we should look into. So, after some time, we've looked into it, and we do see some benefit. And so again, we want to try this out. Okay, so the next question is asking, is this something you're wanting all future protocols to use? Will we still be able to submit in the old system? Okay, so just to clarify, obviously we want you to, this is just a protocol developer tool. This is not the actual IRB submission. So you're still going to have to submit to the IRB whenever you have a completed protocol, because the protocol is just one component of the eIRB application. So we're not going to require it, as I mentioned before. This is optional right now. Like I said, it probably will benefit folks to use Protocol Builder, because again, the protocol templates that have been drafted and that we're planning to use are comprehensive and inclusive to the information that's necessary for the IRB to make a review and make determinations. The eIRB system is not changing right now. So again, this is going to be a document or a platform that's used to help develop your protocol so that you have a document that you can submit as a supplement to your eIRB application. Will Texas Health Research Centers that utilize UT Southwestern IRB also have access to the Protocol Builder Pro tool? I might have to do some research on that. I think if you have a UT Southwestern username login, then you should be able to use the UT Southwestern username and login to be able to access Protocol Builder. But I will confirm and get some more information out. Are you able to share the transcript of your lecture by any chance? I don't know, Erica, what do you think?
I was thinking about that, the transcript. I think I can. If that person would message me directly, I'd be happy to share it with them.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, will this Protocol Builder be only available to UT Southwestern personnel? Again, if you have a UT Southwestern username login, then it'll be available to you. Otherwise, we've not made it available to individuals, for example, our affiliates that don't have UT Southwestern credentials. The next question is, will this eventually replace the current consent template? No, this will actually not replace the current consent template, because this is a protocol builder platform and not an informed consent builder platform. And it's not to be confused with the ICF or consent form builder that we are working on internally. So those are two separate things. So at this stage, it's a pilot program. You can kind of sort of say that it's a pilot. We're piloting the use of this platform at UT Southwestern to identify whether the tool should be available for future use. You know, whether we retain a subscription with Branny to keep providing this tool and this protocol building tool to our researchers. And I think I answered this last one. Will this protocol builder only be available to UT Southwestern personnel? Yeah, answer that one. Any other questions? Are you all excited like I am? I'm really excited that we'll possibly be able to get protocols in without playing hide the answer. So I'm really excited about the software.
Yeah, this is really, really exciting.
So that is all that I have. Thank you all. We'll stick around if you have any additional questions, but yeah, thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, and I'll end with my usual. So I want to thank you, Mayed. And I want to also remind you all of our survey, because we do use that information for future meetings. Our next meeting is going to be September 17th. And so I don't see any other questions rolling in, so I'm going to conclude. I just want to thank you all for attending. Have a great rest of your week.